Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a really focused look at something important. How seasoned executives, people with decades of experience, can effectively pivot into impactful board positions.
Yeah, it's a big transition.
Exactly. Our mission. Well, it's to give you a shortcut, really, to understanding what boards are truly seeking in 2025, especially now, with everything changing so fast.
And that change is absolutely key. We're in an era just profoundly shaped by AI, by digital transformation.
Right.
So it's not just about what boards used to look for. The core idea here, the central insight, is that experienced executive judgment. It's actually become more indispensable than ever. Boards aren't really looking for directors stuck in yesterday's challenges. They need strategic leaders ready for tomorrow.
That's a really crucial distinction. And for this deep dive, we're pulling directly from some fantastic source material.
Good stuff.
Yeah, excerpts from Part 5, The Board Ready Executive. It's part of a bigger 12-part series called the Encore Executive.
Oh, I know that series.
Right. It's authored by Laura Johnson, owner of LLEJ Careers. She's an executive career strategist. And it's worth mentioning, too, Laura Johnson also publishes Your Executive Advantage. That's her Substack community for revolutionary leaders. Lots of sophisticated frameworks there for strategic career moves and building your executive brand.
So our goal today really is to unpack exactly what boards are truly looking for in 2025.
Yep.
And then outline the kind of strategic positioning you'll need to become that indispensable leader, all drawing practical wisdom straight from these sources.
Okay, that sets the stage perfectly. Because the source, it just dives straight into this fascinating and honestly kind of alarming reality about boardrooms today.
Alarming is a good word for it.
It reveals that a huge number, 72% of executives, feel their boards actually lack the right mix of skills for right now.
72%. And what's truly striking in that data is this. Almost half of boards, 45%, still haven't even put generative AI on their agenda.
Wow.
Still. Think about that. I mean, this isn't just some small knowledge gap. It feels like a significant strategic blind spot.
Definitely.
So for seasoned executives like you listening, this isn't really a problem. It's actually a colossal opportunity, a chance to bring that advanced thinking, that governance oversight, straight to the table.
That's a really powerful way to frame it. So, okay, if boards have these critical skill gaps, what are they actively looking for? What do they need?
Well, the sources are very clear on this. This big skills gap, it represents this unprecedented opportunity precisely because it defines specific competency needs.
Like what?
Like 43% of private company boards say emerging technology and AI expertise is most critical.
43%.
Followed by marketing expertise at 36%, and then strategy development at 30%. So it raises the question, right? How can leaders like you directly address these precise gaps?
The article then breaks it down into three sort of converging realities that modern boards need leaders to navigate. Let's explore those. First up, there's digital transformation governance. And it goes beyond just, understanding the tech.
Right. It's more than buzzwords.
Exactly. Boards need directors who can provide real oversight on things like AI deployment, cybersecurity frameworks, how digital business models are evolving. It's about bridging that traditional strategic thinking with this new world of tech governance, which is honestly a different skill set.
A very different skill set.
Yeah.
And the second reality.
The second one is crisis resilience architecture. This isn't just reacting when things go wrong.
Proactive, not reactive.
Precisely. It's about anticipating disruption. The source mentions that 2/3 of boards see climate change as a macro risk.
Wow, 2/3.
Yeah. And 52% cite market competition. 50% point to the sheer speed of digital transformation as primary challenges they're, grappling with.
So anticipating risk across multiple fronts.
Exactly. And finally, the third one, stakeholder capitalism navigation. This is all about managing the evolving ESG landscape, environmental, social, governance.
ESG is huge now.
It is. And it's about balancing profitability with purpose, managing all those different stakeholder expectations, driving sustainable growth. The source frames it as sophisticated risk management and value creation. It's not about taking political sides.
That's an important distinction. Value creation, not politics. Now, what's truly insightful here, I think, is how the source challenges that common fixation people have on just gunning for Fortune 500 board seats.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
It suggests the real opportunity often lies elsewhere, in understanding the broader director ecosystem and maybe taking more of a portfolio approach.
That makes a lot of sense. It talks about the spaces where successful board careers often actually begin.
Yeah.
Where you build credibility, maybe even get meaningful compensation early on.
Right, like where?
Like private company boards. These can offer substantial learning opportunities, often with less regulatory headache.
Less red tape.
Yeah. And the value placed on finding the right directors is significant. Apparently, recruitment firm fees can often top $100,000 per board member for these roles.
Wow. Okay.
Then you've got nonprofit leadership boards. Now, these are often volunteer roles, but some do compensate. And critically, they provide that crucial governance experience and community connections that can really differentiate you later.
Good point. Governance experience is key.
And don't overlook advisory boards and special purpose entities. These are often unique, maybe project-focused roles. They let you show off specific expertise and build those board-ready credentials.
So if we connect this all back to the bigger picture, the sophisticated executive, they develop what the source calls a portfolio approach.
A portfolio.
And what's really insightful about this isn't just, getting varied experience. It's about strategically using these different board types, private, nonprofit, advisory, to really accelerate your learning curve and build undeniable governance credentials in a way that maybe landing just one single high-profile board seat right away rarely allows. This strategy builds comprehensive governance experience, and you can maximize both your impact and your compensation over time.
So once you understand where these opportunities might be, outside the usual suspects, how do you strategically position yourself for them?
Right, the positioning piece.
The article really emphasizes crafting your director value proposition, which basically means translating your decades of operational know-how into board-level value. It suggests looking through 3 key lenses.
Okay, what are they?
First is strategic foresight. So how does your specific industry experience help the board identify emerging trends, see competitive positioning before it becomes, a 5-alarm fire?
Spotting things early. Got it. What's next?
Then there's risk intelligence. What operational insights do you have that allow you to spot governance vulnerabilities before they blow up into crises?
Seeing the hidden risks.
Okay.
And the third?
And thirdly, stakeholder navigation. How does your leadership background translate into effective board dynamics and shareholder communication, especially now with today's really complex stakeholder expectations?
That makes sense. Foresight, risk, stakeholders. So this naturally raises a question for you listening. Beyond just framing your value proposition, what specific credentials are boards actually looking for?
Good question. The source advises investing in, highly regarded director education programs. It mentions things like those offered by the National Association of Corporate Directors, NACD, or Stanford Directors College.
So formal education matters.
It seems so. It also highlights the growing importance of cybersecurity governance certification.
Makes sense, given the risks.
Definitely. And a deep understanding of ESG and sustainability frameworks, plus just robust financial literacy specifically for board oversight.
Okay, credentials are key. And then critically, it talks about building your board brand.
Right, the brand.
So what does this actually mean for your online presence, your digital footprint?
Well, take your LinkedIn profile, for instance. It should clearly position you as a strategic advisor, not just, an operational manager.
Shift the focus.
Yeah. You should be sharing insights on governance trends, commenting thoughtfully on where the industry is headed, consistently demonstrating that forward-thinking leadership online.
That makes sense. It's about signaling your readiness for that strategic level. Now, relationships, networking, obviously they matter.
Always do.
But the sources highlight that just relying solely on warm introductions is a really common and often limiting mistake.
Interesting. So you can't just rely on your existing network.
Apparently not entirely. An effective approach, it seems, combines multiple channels for finding board placements.
Okay, that's a really practical takeaway then.
Yeah.
So beyond just hitting up people you already know, what does a truly effective networking strategy look like, according to the source?
Well, the article emphasizes cultivating board search firm relationships.
Ah, the headhunters.
Exactly. Firms like On Partners, Board Prospects, they specialize in board recruitment. So it's about building genuine relationships with the consultants who focus specifically on board placements within your industry.
Okay, strategic outreach to search firms. What else?
And beyond the search firms, it also advises joining professional board networks.
Makes sense.
Director organizations, governance conferences, things like the National Association of Corporate Directors again, or private company director groups. These offer both education and really unparalleled networking opportunities.
So getting involved in the governance community.
Precisely. And maybe the most intriguing strategy the source outlines is what it calls strategic reverse networking.
Reverse networking. How does that work?
Instead of asking directly for positions, you position yourself as a valuable resource first.
Give before you give.
Exactly. You offer insights, maybe provide introductions for others, basically demonstrate the advisory value you bring before any specific opportunity is even on the table.
That's a sophisticated approach.
Yeah.
Now, the sources are also quite candid about common pitfalls, things to avoid.
Yeah, knowing what not to do is often just as important.
Definitely. From the source's perspective, what stands out to you? What's maybe the most frequent misstep you see seasoned executives make when they're aiming for board positions?
I think the biggest one the article highlights is definitely what it calls the operational mindset trap.
The operational mindset trap.
Okay. Look, many executives, understandably, are just wired for operational excellence. That's how they succeeded.
Right, that's their background.
But board service is fundamentally different.
Yeah.
It's about strategic oversight, governance, asking the right questions, not day-to-day management, trying to, run the company from the boardroom. That's a quick way to fail.
That makes perfect sense. It's a completely different altitude, a different role.
Yep.
What are some of the other traps the article warns against?
Well, it also points to the generic approach. Just sending out a cookie-cutter board bio or resume, it simply won't cut it.
No generic applications.
Right. Each board opportunity requires highly customized positioning, showing you understand their specific needs and context.
Okay.
And then there's the compensation focus. Obviously, compensation matters, eventually, but leading with financial motivations right out of the gate, it signals the wrong priorities.
Focus on value first.
Exactly. The emphasis should always be on the value you can create, the strategic contribution you can make.
And finally, it touches on the network dependency again.
Yeah, circling back to that, relying only on existing relationships really limits your opportunities. The best positions, the source suggests, often come through these more structured search processes we just talked about.
Okay, so avoid the traps. Operational mindset, generic approach, money focus, and over-reliance on just your current network. Got it.
Then the sources outline a pretty systematic framework, a way to actually transform that operational credibility you have into genuine governance readiness.
A framework. I like framework.
This framework directly tackles that fundamental challenge. How do you demonstrate that your decades of executive experience actually translate into board-level strategic value?
Okay, break it down for us. How does the framework work?
It's broken down into 3 distinct phases, offering a kind of clear roadmap. Phase 1 is foundation building. This covers roughly months 1 to 6.
Months 1 to 6, okay. What happens then?
This involves things like completing those director education programs we mentioned, maybe securing an initial nonprofit board position to get some hands-on governance experience.
Build that foundation.
Exactly. And beginning to consciously position yourself as a strategic advisor, both online and in your networking.
Okay, phase 1, foundation. What's phase 2?
Phase 2 focuses on credibility development. This is roughly months 7 to 12.
Building credibility. Makes sense.
Here, you're actively building those relationships with board search firms, establishing clear thought leadership in your specific area of expertise, maybe through writing or speaking, and intentionally expanding your network beyond just your usual industry contacts.
So broaden the reach, deepen the expertise signal.
Got it.
And phase 3.
And finally, phase 3 is portfolio expansion. This spans roughly months 13 to 18.
Expanding the portfolio,
Yeah.
like we talked about earlier.
Precisely. This phase is all about leveraging that initial board experience you gained, your demonstrated industry expertise, to secure additional positions. You're effectively creating that diversified portfolio that really showcases your governance competency across different contexts, maybe different industries.
Okay, foundation, credibility, portfolio. A clear 18-month path.
Yeah.
So distilling this down, what does this all mean for the key success factors? What really matters?
Well, the article consistently emphasizes a few things. First, positioning your operational experience explicitly as a strategic oversight capability.
Framing matters.
Immensely. Second, building those board-ready credentials, the education, the certifications before you actively start seeking positions. Don't wait until you need them.
You prepared?
And third, consciously developing that diversified portfolio approach we discussed, showcasing your governance skills across multiple board types.
Right. Now, for those listening who are thinking, okay, this sounds good, but maybe a bit daunting, does the source offer any immediate actionable steps, quick wins?
It does, actually. It provides some quick win strategies. For example, within the next 30 days, it suggests you could complete a board readiness assessment, maybe using any CD resources.
Okay, the self-assessment. Good start.
Or update your LinkedIn profile right away to emphasize those strategic advisory capabilities. Or simply start researching the board search firms that specialize in your industry.
Things you can do this month. What about, say, 60 days?
For 60 days, it suggests you could actually register for one of those director education programs, or perhaps begin reaching out carefully to some of those search consultants you identified.
Concrete steps. Good. And how do you measure progress? Does it talk about metrics?
Yes. Finally, it outlines key metrics for measuring success, breaking them into 3 categories.
Okay, what are they?
First, board readiness indicators. Things like completing a director education program or how often you're engaging with strategic content, showing you're up to date.
Tracking your preparation. Makes sense.
Second, pipeline development metrics. This is about tracking things like how many board opportunity introductions you get per quarter, or your interview to offer conversion rates.
They're getting actual opportunities.
Exactly. And finally, portfolio quality measures. This includes looking at the diversity of your board roles, any progression in compensation, and crucially, having concrete examples of the strategic value you've created in those roles.
So, tracking readiness, pipeline, and the quality of the portfolio itself.
Yeah.
Very comprehensive. Wow. That was a truly insightful deep dive into becoming a board-ready executive. We've really journeyed from understanding the shifting landscape of what boards need in 2025.
Which is changing fast.
All the way to a systematic framework for positioning yourself for success. And all drawn directly from those powerful insights in Laura Johnson's The Board Ready Executive and Your Executive Advantage.
Yeah, and what's particularly fascinating here, I think, is that emphasis on proactive, strategic development. It's not just about reactive networking.
Right, it's more deliberate than that.
It fundamentally shifts the perspective, doesn't it? That the pathway to the boardroom is maybe less about who you know and far more about what you know and how strategically you articulate that and then build upon it.
Absolutely. So for you, the listener, we really hope this deep dive has provided not just, some surprising facts, but clear, actionable steps, ideas on how to translate your invaluable executive experience into meaningful board contributions. It's really about redefining your executive value for this new era.
Which raises, I think, an important final question for you to consider as you move forward. In what novel ways can your accumulated wisdom, not just your operational skill, but your wisdom become your most powerful asset in shaping the future of governance? Think about how your unique blend of insights, your specific experiences, can not just meet the current demands of boards, but actually anticipate and help lead the next wave of corporate evolution.